Hey, everybody, welcome to day 7 of the Take Back Your Life video challenge, study, whatever you want to call it.
40 days to thinking right so you can live right.
40 days. So we are now through week 1. At the end of today, week 1 will be finished. And so how does it feel? How you feeling? You're getting into it? Are you liking it? Not liking it? Throw a comment down below if you're enjoying the study. What do you think? It's a weekend.
I think that it's good. We've had some very vulnerable conversations with the kids and have just asked them questions and let them talk and seen where their minds are, where their thoughts are. And I think that's been good so far.
Okay. What about you?
This is our second time through it, and it is just as impactful this time as it was in August and September. It is one of those things that you got to continue, because just like whenever you're reading the Bible, whenever you go through a passage, you're in a different place, you have a different mindset, and it hits you a little bit differently.
And these things that we talk about in this book, they're all hard things. It's a lifetime of thinking, as an adult anyway, a lifetime of thinking that you have to sort of change. You know, you don't necessarily change it in the blink of an eye, so it takes a little bit of time. That's part of what Pastor Levi was talking about in today's reading, the permission slip. He's giving us permission, or he's not, but he's saying it's okay and we should be free and have permission to be vulnerable. Vulnerable in our relationships with others, whether it's a spouse or children or coworkers. Vulnerability in our relationship with God and how we act, speak, and think about God. And so vulnerability is not an easy thing.
That's very true. And I would say vulnerable in our community too, because I know that one of the things that we do is we open up our house on Sunday nights, and that took a willingness to be vulnerable for a long time. Now it's very comfortable. It doesn't even feel like it's anything. It's just what we do. But at the beginning, we had to decide, how authentic do we want to be? Where do we need to, because we didn't want to be fake. We wanted to just have friends that we were able to pour into and who could pour into us. And we have been, I think we've maintained our authenticity over the years. It's been what? How many years has it been? Like 7 or 8? We've maintained our authenticity, and we've had some that have stayed with us for a really long time, and some that have come and said, yeah, this is not really my cup of tea because I can't talk about those things. I can't be open. And we get it. I mean,
not everybody can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's hard. You got to be willing to be honest with yourself about where you land. I feel like I'm pretty vulnerable in a lot of areas. Some areas not so much. And I think it shows. I think that with people that I trust, I can say almost anything. I can talk about almost anything that's going on in my life. But there are times that I sort of keep things close to the vest too, because I'm vulnerable to a point.
Well, and that's where God gives you wisdom. He allows you to know when it is not wise to be open.
So Pastor Levi says that freedom looks like vulnerability. Are we free when we're more vulnerable with people?
Again, that depends. It depends on who it is. Are they going to use what we say against us? We have to have a level of trust. You know, we talked about trust yesterday, and you have to know when to keep it close and when to not.
He talks about that also later on in the reading, about when to choose. When do we choose to be vulnerable? How do we choose? What do we give up if we choose to hang on to our mask? Mm-hmm. What do we give up if we choose to be vulnerable with someone? Those are all very tough questions, because you can get burned really easily by being vulnerable. And I think that's why most people are not. They have been vulnerable at one time, gotten burned, and they're like, I don't want to go back there again.
And they have never really learned how to process those emotions, I think, that come with getting burned. And that's where you're hesitant to open that door again.
Paul was writing about this whenever he wrote to Timothy in the New Testament about the fact that God didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power. Whenever we take the time and we put in the effort to let go of the mask and be vulnerable, God honors that. He gives us the power to see past those things that we're afraid of.
And he talks about the translation that spirit actually translates in this section as breath, that he breathes into us a spirit of power, that he did not breathe into us a spirit of fear.
One of the most difficult things I think that we have to learn as adults in general, or as followers of Christ, that is, we are all unique people. We often, again, as we talked about with masks yesterday, we often try to put on this persona of what we think it's going to take to fit in, what we think it's going to take to make us successful. When really, if we are open and honest with people about who we are, about what it is that we want, about what our hopes are, what our fears are, what our dreams are, then it lets people know that we are authentic and that we are authentically real. And God has given us the power to do that because he created us. He knows what it is that we need much better than we do.
At the end of today's reading, one of the things that Pastor Levi talks about, that if God didn't give it to you, you don't have to keep it, meaning that if you have found yourself in the shackles of fear, in the shackles of not wanting to step out and do something, or not knowing how to take off the mask, then you can absolutely take it off. You can give it to God. You can say, you didn't give me this, I'm not keeping it, and just give it back to him.
That's the freedom in being open with ourselves. So not just that we're open with other people, not that we take off the mask, but being open and authentic with ourselves and knowing that God did not give us a spirit of fear. He breathed into us something special. And whatever that special is for you, whatever that special is for me, he's not going to give it to us and then leave us abandoned with it. So that's why when we fill our lives, when we fill our hearts, when we fill our minds with things that are not authentic, things that are clutter, then we don't have to hang on to them. And we're encouraged to give those things back over to the Lord and let him fill our hearts and fill our minds with what it is that he wants us to do. We can be open and authentic at that point.
Yeah. That's where I would say, just like we talked about in the last couple of days, that you can, whenever you give it to him, ask him to give you things that will fill you, because you will start to find that quiet and not know what to do with it.
That's it. So let's work on being open, being authentic, being vulnerable with people. We had conversations with the kids about this today, and it was interesting to listen to them talk about what they thought it meant to be vulnerable. It provides some conviction for me as a parent in how I'm vulnerable with them. So let's be honest with ourselves, and let's see what God does with those things. So that's day 7.
End of week 1.
Made it through week 1. We're going to start off next week. The theme for the week is turn off the dark. So we don't necessarily turn on the light, but we do turn off the dark. So we'll get into that. We'll see what all of that means whenever we meet tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the beginning of week 2, so I'm excited.
Yeah, be a good day.
So keep joining in with us. Make sure you're writing down the answers to the questions in your journal. If you have anything great, you may want to be able to look back at it in the future. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then make sure that you ding the bell. This is still a point of contention. You ding the bell, then you'll get notified whenever these videos go live each morning. So I hope that you have a great day. and that you found some rest overnight. I hope that you'll attack this day with a new vision and a new willingness to be open and vulnerable with those around you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.